Hey, Todd Hazel with Hazel Performance. This is another video for our Keep It Simple series. We basically go over one thing at a time, describing what we are, what the car does, and different reactions to it, and how to tune it. And basically, I'm gonna feed off of the last video we had, which basically was talking about the driver inputs and the car reactions. So now to follow up on the car reactions, we're going to talk about the weight transfer. So basically, the driver inputs, whatever it does, creates a weight transfer in the chassis. And that's what you're trying to do, is tune the car for the reaction. And then like I said, this is keep it simple. You may be advanced driver, you may be years of experience, but some people don't. And this is keep it simple. And this might help everybody. It might not help anybody. I'm just trying to help. But basically, so driver inputs from the last video. If you are decelerating, let's just call this the center of gravity in the car. That's the basic center of the weight of the chassis in the car, right here in the middle. So whenever you decelerate the driver input, weight is going to transfer, and it's going to transfer forward during deceleration. When that weight transfers, it's going to transfer. It's going to start compressing springs from the weight being moved forward. It's going to push down on those springs. Those springs are basically what push the tires into the dirt. So you may think, people saying I'm trying to plant in the right front or something like that. Let's just back it up just a little bit. You want to talk about the weight transferring to the springs or through the springs, because that's actually what's going on. So basically, the driver input, he decelerates, weight transfers from the back or the middle or from the center to the front, compressing the two front springs, and that's what plants the two tires. When the driver turns the steering wheel, weight transfers to the right. Whenever he's turning, that is going to compress these two springs, planting these two tires. Then you turn around, and if you're trying to accelerate, it starts moving weight backwards, pushing on these two springs, planting these two rear tires. It is just weight in the chassis is moving forward onto the springs, is turning right to the springs, and it's going back, hitting the springs. That is what is planting those tires into the dirt. And we're going to try to work on balancing the weight transfer. If you wanted to change the weight going to this tire or this tire, you would change the spring ratio, different spring rates to do that. But we're not going to talk about that right now. We're just trying to keep it simple, and so that you understand the driver inputs is transferring weight, and the weight transfer is transferring to the springs in whichever direction the weight is moving. You can have two things going on at one time. You can be decelerating and turning at the same time on turn entry, and it's going to plant these push on these two springs and these two springs at the same time, basically having this one loaded more, because actually the weight's kind of transferring kind of this way. So you're basically doing two inputs, it's doing two things. Decelerating and turning, it's loading these two and these two springs. So there's driver input equals weight transfer, and this is the direction it goes during the different inputs, and these are the springs that it will load during that weight transfer. So I'll keep it simple, and we'll move on to the next one, and we'll talk about changing the ratio or tuning it and things like that. But you also have to remember, for every driver input, there is a weight transfer, and that's what you're trying to get a balance on or tune the car, is how the weight is transferring to the tires that the weight is transferring to. Keep it simple.